Hey everybody, it's Jerome from House of Plastic again. I figured I would go ahead and finally get to film some test shots part 2 that we were talking about in the last video. So I've gathered up some more what I call interesting ones. I mean, everybody's got a different opinion. But I've got a few here I want to show you, and then I'll show you some unreleased stuff towards the end, which is some pretty cool stuff. First of all, we've got Tunnel Rat. Now, I didn't gather up the original figures that these were test shots of, just simply because the way that my ratio on filming is, it would not work for the space that I have to put them behind it. It's whatever. Well, moving on. Anyway, Tunnel Rat was released, oh Lord, I don't know, half dozen times. I'll scooch a little closer so you can see him there. He was released about a half a dozen times between 04 and 05, 06 I think even, it crept up. They did the Toys R Us 6-packs. He was in Desert Gear. He was part of the Night Force sets. He was... I'm thinking... I can't remember the other ones that they did of him. This looks like they did this one around 04. From the colors because of the oranges. Some of the other test shots I have are from that convention of the Tiger Force from 04. So I'm guessing they probably punched them out at the same time they had the same plastics in because of the Tiger Force orange. And then just whatever on the arms, because they never really did a Tiger Force version of him for America. They only did that one foreign release back in the day, which damn shame we didn't get him. It was pretty cool. Then we've got a Gung Ho, using the 90s molds. I actually like this figure. Don't know why. I mean, he's just got a real BA vibe to him with the bandana and the way that they did the bandolier of bullets and stuff like that. I like the original Gung Ho from '83. He was always fun. Chest tattoo, vest, always looked cool, but he always looked a little, I don't know, for his character, I feel he was a little skinny, because he was always supposed to be the big super macho muscular dude, where this guy here, they actually beefed him up pretty well as far as the sculpt goes. We've got Law here. Really interesting color scheme. The only thing I can figure from him is that may be a test shot from the 2002 series where they released him in the 2-packs. I don't honestly remember them releasing him in the Valor vs. Venom 6-packs and 5-pack that they did of the Tiger Force or anything like that. I'm going to call it the 2002 version, or whatever year that was, 2001, 2002, when they were doing the 2-packs. But super love this figure. Always thought he was just super neat. I don't know. I kind of wish I had a test shot of of the dog too, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. I was lucky enough to find him. Now, the last one down here we have is the 83 Hiss Driver. Now, this one is a test shot where they use the mold for, I'm wanting to say it was the Rip It figure that came out in the convention set that everybody loved from the, what was that, the Tanks for the Memories, where we didn't get the tanks. Partially painted. He's got his cuffs painted black, and then we've got a Cobra logo here. I'm not 100% sure. It might be that, or it might be that re-release from 2001-2002 series where they re-released the Blue Hiss with the weathered marks. So, I don't know. I'm thinking it's probably from the Rip It one, because that's a little bit more current compared to the 2002 ones. That's, like I said in the past video, that's when a lot of these were hitting the markets. You were seeing a lot of them in the flea markets and stuff like that. They were popping up, coming from overseas. I don't know. But that's just my thoughts on that. Now, I don't have that original Rip It figure. He's out of my price range as far as my collection goes, unless I just find a good deal on him. So I really can't compare. Now, I do have the 2002 version, and it's close. Definitely same body style. Anyway, let's get some more up here so you can take a look. So here's a group. It's kind of a love or hate. I personally love them because I read the comic books as a kid. It's the October Guard. Now, this is all I have for the October Guard test shots. They made more characters. I was just thrilled they actually made characters, because even as a kid, I always wondered, why didn't we have an October Guard? Now, towards the end of the line, when they got into the early 90s, we did get Big Bear, which was pretty cool, and then we had Brekov, which was pretty cool as well. But as far as an actual sub team, we didn't get those. You can tell they reused parts on some, like if I'm not mistaken, that's Big Ben's chest to make this character. Original head sculpt on him, very cool. This guy here, one of my favorites, because I always thought he was an awesome character in the comics. And we've got an original sculpted chest piece head. Wanting to say the arm, and the legs are Cobra Soldier. Now, I want to show you something pretty interesting here on this particular test shot. I'm going to try to get a little closer without getting wobblers. Maybe it'd be easier if I just brought the figure to us. If you look here, this arm has got one sculpted part, and they just used a basic arm over here with the sleeve. Now, I'm guessing they probably just didn't have the sculpt ready yet for this side. Very neat little, I don't know what you'd call it, history, I guess. But if you look, like I said, that's the Cobra Soldier legs from where they had done those Cobra Soldier comic book packs, and I believe they reused those on a couple of the other odd and enders. But we got us an original waist piece here because he had the coat that came down. Awesome figure. Super love that one. And then, I tell you what, I'll just do this to make it easier on everybody. This guy here, we got us another original head sculpt with the hat, and you can tell they're two different plastics, obviously, by the colors. So it's two different pieces. It wasn't sculpted as one piece, which I find super awesome that they did that. Because a lot of times, you know, you get the junky, let's make it work with one piece, save us some money on the molds. But they were doing pretty good at the time, so they were okay with spending a little bit of money. This guy here, I'm wanting to say that's a Range Viper leg. Could be wrong there, but that little ridge part. This one's fun because back to what I said about the initials from the guy that made it, this one's on the bottom of the feet, which I'm glad they have the initials personally. When I get them with the initials like that, it gives it a little bit more of a real vibe, so to speak. I'm just glad they didn't put it on the chest or the face or anything like that, because I've seen them here, I've seen them here, I've seen them on the back, on the butt, but the bottom of the foot's always one of my favorite places to get that mark, because it displays well, and you don't have to worry about like, oh, well, now it permanently marred my figure up, and yada, yada, yada. I'm so nervous about putting these guys on stands, so I'm just going to skip that. It's the same principle with the other figures, too. If you're not real careful, you can shatter a heel, which this guy here, I couldn't even get him to fit on a stand, so we didn't push that too hard. Another awesome figure. Loved this figure. Like I said, this sub team is one of my favorites. I'm a couple figures away loose from having them all. I've got them all if you count the carded ones I've got. Totally original head sculpt. Great stuff. The October Guard were the Russian counterpart to G.I. Joe in the comic books, and they had this weird little six-wheeled vehicle that they got to drive around in, which I always thought would make a nice little box set if they ever did those again. But you know, whatever. They did do them in the 25th anniversary where they made a bunch of those figures. I didn't love them. I thought they were okay. I'm not a big 25th anniversary fan. If you guys have talked to me in person, you've heard my feelings. Not saying they're bad figures, just not a G.I. Joe to me. But hey man, everybody's different. We're all entitled to our opinions and what we like, so it's all good. Let's get you some more up here to take a look at. Okay, so I added a few more this time so we won't have a 30-minute video, because sometimes my attention span wanders just as bad as everybody else's does. So what I've done here is I put together a little team of favorites. A really awesome Roadblock. Not as colorful as some of the other ones. They did just a straight blue body with the flesh-colored arms and head. Still an awesome mold. Now this was actually one of my favorite molds. I actually liked all the Roadblocks, I can't lie. I thought they were all amazing. This one here just had such a detailed sculpt on it from like some of the originals that I dig it. Now if you can check it out there, they actually used a different color for the arm joins. Like I said, a lot of times these test shots were whatever plastic was available in the molds at the time that they did it. Then we've got a Cobra Soldier back here, which this one's got a nice little mark on it. If you look on the arms, they actually put the mark on there of X's. Now, if you see the X, it means we're not using that part. They didn't sign off on that. And if you look at the arm really close, you can see it's just a basic bare arm. There's no detail to it. There's no whatever. which I'm glad they didn't use that. I mean, they didn't do much better on the Officer release. It was an okay. I'm glad we got it. How's that? Now we got a weird looking Stalker back here. He's all kinds of colors. Different waist, different chest, a couple of different colors on the arms, different color head. And that was the Stalker that they released. What did they use him for? Now, I know they used him for the Arctic pack, because if I'm not mistaken, I've got one of the test shots for the Arctic set. I'll show you. They use that head. They didn't use that torso, but I'll show you that in a minute. Then we've got Chief Torpedo here, which they reused him in the early 2000s that went with that one little version of the Vamp. But what they did was, what I'm guessing they did for this was they were testing the body to see the viability of it for the convention set around 04, because they used that for the Dreadnought Cousins. We've got a solid black Night Creeper back here, which I thought was awesome. We've got a Psych out here. I just love the color scheme because it's got like a pearlescence to the plastic. So, you know, it was probably a little bit more expensive plastic, but it was already loaded. And then we've got Big Brawler. Yeah, everybody loves Big Brawler. That was a neat figure from the Tiger Force 5-pack. Now, this is kind of a plain Jane test shot. It's just solid black, but what an awesome figure. Gained a little bit of notoriety just in the circles back in the day. It's not like he was a, let's put it realistically, it was kind of a joke character. And we all joked about it back then on the boards and stuff when it was new. I always thought it was neat, but never really had to track one down. Now, what they did, though, for all you completionists out there, the Tiger Force 5-pack actually had 2 different color variations on his hair. I only have one, and I honestly can't remember which one I have, but I know I've always been like, wow, if I could ever find that other one. So I guess it would pay if I actually checked out what I have before I go buying anything. Super fun. These are kind of a little bit more plain. The one thing I really love is the Officer there with the X's, because I think that's the only one I've got where they've said no to the parts. And he's a little loosey-goosey. That's why. They don't fit real tight. So, I mean, I can see why they did it. So let's move on. These are super fun. This is all part of one group, and they are test shots of the convention figures from the Dreadnought set. We've got the Morphing Zartan that went with that Hawk 3-pack where he morphed from Zartan into Hawk. Thought that was super awesome. The Tiger Force Beachhead, which I still haven't tracked down an original figure for that. Those things have gone through the roof in value. It's kind of killing me. Someday I'll have it. We've got Ripper when they had those cool red camouflaged pants. You can pretty plain Jane. Basically, all these are almost basic unpainted versions of the figures. So they could have been technical test shots, or they could have just been stuff that quote unquote fell off the line. I don't know. I don't know what they are. With them not having a stitch of paint on them, but being almost the exact colors that came out, it's real hard telling. Zorana's a fun one here. Always loved that figure. One problem that I have here with my test shot, if you can see around the neck, it's got stress marks. So I'm super careful with her as far as problems with it. There's one right there in the middle of her chest where they screwed it together. But anyway, I'm super careful with her as far as handling it. I'm so worried I'm going to break it. And if you actually look real close right there, you can see that the shoulder actually doesn't meet up with the front part of the torso. So, I mean, some stuff aged well, some stuff didn't. I love that figure, so I'm kind of cool with it. And then we've got Buzzer here. I love these two because this was the last time that we saw the original head sculpts on these guys. Now, we got the comic book packs later on that had different head sculpts where they were smaller, which I've actually got a Buzzer right here, a test shot of him with the different head sculpt. Don't love it, don't hate it, I don't know. It's just, it's different, and I don't know, pretty cool. He's actually got the markings on his stomach from the person that did it. I thought that was pretty cool. That's the main reason I picked him up, is because of the markings there. Plus, I just didn't have it. And I'm one of those guys. Well, heck, I don't have it. Why not? I've also got some other comic book pack figures here, as far as the test shots go. Personally, I loved these comic packs. They were what they were. They were versions of the characters that would be able to be posed and played with or whatever, that we didn't have to worry about 40-year-old plastic snapping thumbs. We got Rock and Roll, and I don't remember who this is. It's kind of a generic guy, and I didn't pay too much attention to their versions of that. New head sculpts on both, which I kind of like. I kind of like the Rock and Roll. I really do. They gave him a little bit more of a husky vibe instead of that scrawny dude. If you're going to pack around that machine gun, you need some muscles. So, hey, really love these two. The blue head on Rock and Roll is pretty wicked. This guy here is almost an unpainted version of what we got, which is still pretty cool. Not complaining, but, this guy here has got some wild colors, and sometimes that's really what draws me to the test shots, are some of the more interesting colors. So, let me get up a little set here, one more set of these, and then I'm going to show you the unreleased stuff, and then I'll show you a vintage test shot from way back in the day. This set of test shots is probably my favorite set of test shots, but one of my least favorite sets from the real figures. This was the Arctic 6-pack. Well, and when it was released, it was a 6-pack. I've only got 4 of them from Toys R Us. And the reason it's not one of my favorites as far as the regular releases, they were like teal and all these wild colors that just really didn't make sense for an Arctic pack. Whereas far as these are all solid white. So that's kind of cool. And with them all being solid white from the same set, I kind of get a kick out of that. We've got Snake Eyes over here on the very end, which was always a neat version of Snake Eyes to me. They used that really cool 92 head with the paintball goggles. Really just a neat looking version, personal opinion. I kind of dig it. If you're going to have Snake Eyes in the Arctic, he can't be in solid black. I mean, that doesn't make any sense now, does it? Then we've got Avalanche here, which as a kid, he was always one of my favorites because he came with that little wicked sled thing that turned into skis and ice shoes. And then now we've got Stalker. Always loved this version of Stalker because he came with that canoe, the 89 Stalker. So I'm always super partial to this guy here, the Tundra version. Was always one of my favorites. I like the original 83, but he was so fragile. Those thumbs snap off on him. Now this one here, kind of hate this figure. Kind of hate the original. Kind of hate all the modern versions. If I'm not mistaken, this guy was translucent in the 6-pack. He's like a translucent blue or some stupid crap. Might have been clear. I don't remember. But since he's part of the team, here he is, I don't know. I never quite understood the number 4 on his back. I thought that was kind of goony. But whatever. I didn't sculpt it. I just spent my money on it. Repeatedly. Whatever. So these are unmarked. I don't have any of the manufacturer marks of, when whoever pumped them out of the line. But I always thought it was really neat that I actually found these all at once, too, which was pretty interesting, because a lot of these I picked up here, and then I pick up 2 more, and then I pick up 5 more, and then pick up 3 more. These guys were all there at one shot, so I kind of had to get them all. I wish I could have got the last 2 members of the team just to have a full, on the shelf, have these guys and have the real guys behind it. I thought that would be really wicked. But I just, like I said, anything you want, not everything you want. Anyway, moving on. Like I promised, some unreleased stuff. Now, we'll start over here on the end. This is the Alley Viper full painted prototype of the unreleased Walmart exclusives they were supposed to have back in the day. I'm wanting to say there were going to be 9 of them, and they were all going to be in this various color scheme of this dark red, the dark blue, and black. Now, I got lucky enough to get him here locally from a dealer who knew I was looking for a legit prototype. I'd actually contacted him trying to figure out pricing on one before I bought it, and he thankfully let me know that it was super overpriced. The guy wanted about 3 times what the value was. It was low light that they were going to do the version 1 low light mold for these, and it was, oh my God, it's beautiful. If you guys can ever get a hold of it, or go Google it, show you some pictures of just type in unreleased Walmart G.I. Joe. I'm wanting to say 2004, 5, 6, somewhere in that area. You'll see it. Just look for this color scheme. They had a Viper, they had Snake Eyes, they had the Alley Viper, Low Light, and some other guys. I would absolutely love to find a full set of these, but this guy here was bad enough on price that I got one, and I'm good. Alley Viper was always one of my favorites. This guy actually came with all of his gear. There's a shield that matches the head mask face thing. with fangs. It's the Cobra logo that like they released with the 2-packs back in the day. Almost the same color on the mask and the shield, if I'm not mistaken. It actually is spot on if I put them side by side. The body's what's the difference. Now, obviously, when they came out, they used different legs. Those are Duke's legs. They didn't use the Alley Viper legs, which is sad because I really liked that original Alley Viper. He had just a look to him. He had the knee pads and the really cool jack boots and stuff. But this is an unreleased prototype. This is one of my very few actual prototypes. So this did not come out like this. Now, as I was going through my test shots and stuff, I got to looking at my 89 Snake Eyes test shot, and lo and behold, it's a test shot of the Walmart stuff. Now, what I did was I kind of Googled what the Snake Eyes was supposed to look like, painted up, because there are painted versions out there, and the plastics are the same color, it's just painted. And if you look by the lower blue arms, you can see that the color blue is identical. So that made me super happy that I've got a test shot of the unreleased Walmart. Kind of nifty. I just picked it up because I love the 89 Snake Eyes. That was one of the best ones I ever had as a kid next to the 85. 85 was always my favorite one. This right here is a really neat set. I picked this up in 2005. It was supposed to be an Infiltration of Cobra Island set. Now, it actually was supposed to come out from Hasbro as a 3-pack with some gear and stuff, and it was 3 Joes dressed as Cobra, Crimson Guards. Sorry, small brain fart. A lot going on with all this quarantine stuff going on, so this is why I'm doing this. It's kind of stressing me, or de-stressing me. Sorry. Side note. Anyway, so this was all the way to the taken pre-order stage. Hasbro was taking pre-orders on this. You know, they were getting far along, and then all of a sudden, they canceled it. And it just did not come out. Sad, because this would have been a really neat little set. Now, the couple of things here for us, just to show you the differences. Snake Eyes, actually, they use the 82 Snake Eyes head, but it's a ball joint, not the side-to-side joint, you see? Now, to my knowledge, they never released that head in any other ball joint like that. It was always a side-to-side when they reissued him. Even on the comic packs and all the stuff, when they resculpted, they used the same torso and just made the same head with the side-to-side motion. Never a ball joint. So I am super thrilled about this piece. Also, something fun. Now, they did release the Crimson Guards that had the helmets that came off in the 6-packs and then had that Toys R Us pack. But these have different arms on the upper arm. Now, I'm almost 100% sure, just from looking at the design, this is actually a Saw Viper upper arm, because if you look, the arms actually go down normally instead of standing there looking like he's all, like a big bodybuilder type. Now, I have a test shot here, because I didn't have time to grab my other one, that shows how the figure was supposed to be released. As far as the 6-packs, this actually came from the Toys R Us, or the KB pack, because he's actually got the logo on his arm. And if you look real close at the arms, you can see the difference. Total different upper arm. I don't love this version over here because they always look like they're standing with their elbows cocked out. I kind of wish they would have done this. It's a little less bulky looking. It doesn't look quite as tough. But I kind of like it better as far as displays go. But it was supposed to be Gung-Ho, Duke, and Snake Eyes. And I really am sad that they didn't come out. I got lucky enough, like I said, to get this. I was at G.I. Joe convention in 2005 in Minneapolis. And these were pretty common there. Not going to lie, I saw them at 2 or 3 different vendors. I wound up picking one up for giggles. Probably one of my best purchases I didn't know I needed. It actually came with the raft that was supposed to come with it too, which is basically just a reuse of the raft that came with the anniversary editions of the Joes. It's nothing crazy special, but it's neat to have as far as a set goes. Whenever I get around to actually displaying these, I'll put the raft like behind it or something like that. Pretty cool. I just absolutely love these. Like I said, this is my actual prototypes. As far as it goes, instead of test shots. The big difference is test shots are checking the viabilities of the molds to release the figure like that, or by changing a part or whatnot. It's like a part of the process of getting it out. where prototypes are things that either when they originally, sculpted the stuff and the wax sculptures and stuff like that, which I don't have. I don't have any of those. I have to sell my house to find some of that stuff. Or stuff like this, where it was canceled last minute, or, somebody lost the license to carry the exclusive, which I'm guessing that's what happened to Walmart, because Toys R Us really had the exclusives nailed down back in the day with all those multi-packs, and I bet you they flexed a muscle or two to keep Walmart from getting those. Just speculation, though. I mean, but, business, it's the way it works. They get mad and they get thinking somebody's going to step on their territory. They start flexing a muscle or two, and things happen. But this is my little pride and joy collection, and I just love these. The only other thing that I have, which I promised to show you guys, is a vintage test shot from back in the 90s. Now, it's what I could afford. I'm working on some other stuff, but this is actually a test shot of the Ken Masters figure from back when they were doing those Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter figures using the G.I. Joe molds. But this is OG. This is a vintage test shot. I was super thrilled to get this. Local dealer that has kind of been my hookup. The guy that I was talking about earlier that hooked me up with him, hooked me up with this guy. It was never my favorite figure, and I'm not a super fan of the ones that don't have the screws in the back that are sonically welded, because God forbid that band break. They're there. But this was attainable, and I wanted to have one from the original run in some form for now, and eventually I'll try to track down another one, but those things start getting into the hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and I could buy so much other stuff than just one figure. So maybe if I get lucky and find a deal, but this guy here was a have to for the price. I got him on the cheap. The guy made me a decent deal because we've known each other for a long time. But was pretty proud of this figure. He's in one of these little acrylic tubes with the stand and everything. He goes on my shelf. But anyway, guys, that's today's video. I'm going to try to keep going with these. This is my test shot collection, though, so we're going to have to move on to some other stuff, which is always fun, because we're going to do some more fun stuff. We're going to do some foreign release, some weird mail-aways. We'll do all kinds of fun before it's all...